Hey everyone, Friday Night Live, welcome and welcome to a special show. Tonight I have with me as my special guest, Jeff P. from the Jeff P. channel. Hello, Jeff, how are you?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. We're streaming live on Jeff's channel as well, everyone. And Dr. Claudia Albers. How are you, Claudia?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you. And I see that Scott has joined us, so let me bring him in as well. And there we go.
Hello.
Hello, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Sorry I was a little late there. I was grabbing a cup of coffee.
Listen, cheers to you as well. I'm right here myself. Well, everyone, thank you for joining kind of this impromptu show, but I think it's one that's well worth the topic. It seems that something has indeed happened to our planet. And I thought, by the way, just let everyone know we've got a full crowd on my channel as well. So this is, I just want to say hello to all the moderators and everybody storming in. Grab a chair.
Good.
And if there is any chair, ask Scott. He'll bring some more. So I came across this website, folks, that I want to share with you because I think that this really shows just how much of a wobble the Earth is taking. By the way, please take note of this object. I think it may be the sun, but so as you can see, this is today, November 2018. This is a geosynchronized satellite. The Earth is wobbling.
Oh my.
Yes, indeed. And you can see the registration bars. I'll stop it so everyone can see when the registration bars, and we'll just step it. Look at that. You can actually see it. Now here's the registration bar. So they know where their plane is. And then we have the one down here. And I think that this is representative of probably the two tropic cancers in Capricorn.
Yeah.
Watch this.
Yep.
This is incredible, folks. I did not realize that. And by the way, this object, I think it's maybe the sun. I don't know what it is, but here's what got me puzzled. It exits out here, and watch this. Come back in here. What the heck is this?
That black spot?
Yeah.
I couldn't help wondering if that might be planetary shadows.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, well, you can actually see it, which I'm guessing is the sun.
What is the time interval for this, Wayne?
Let's see. We're at 1532. Okay. And we're at 16. So 1 hour. 1 hour intervals. Yep. There we go. I don't know what that is.
That's very strange. I mean,
it's there for less than an hour, so it's moving quick.
If the Earth was actually wobbling this much, we should see the oceans, creating huge sloshes.
Is that maybe what you think we're seeing in South America?
No, I mean, this would be by the hour that the land masses would be getting hit by sloshes of water.
Yeah, I just thought we could examine this because I don't know. And here you can see
this does not look like a gentle movement at all. This is just too quick.
Yeah.
Well, it's also in time lapse, so take that into consideration.
Yeah, but it's 1 hour intervals.
But it does seem that I've been noticing, proving a polar shift would be difficult. Proving a polar shift would be difficult using a compass, since as the Earth is shifting, so is the magnetic field. So if we're going to measure it, I think one way to see it is reference the stars or the sun.
Well, it's interesting, Jeff, that you mentioned that. I get up about many times I'm awakened, 3:30. I will get up and take the dog out. And so I have been looking at Polaris, and I have also been looking at Orion. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but they don't look like they are in the right position.
Mm-hmm.
And now let me play. By the way, can anyone explain what this is? I thought at first it was the sun, but look how this thing acts.
Now that definitely looks like.
And then it just.
Well, yeah, it doesn't look like something like Doppler radar, like clouds or anything. It looks like you said, it is moving too fast to be a cloud system. It's outpacing the clouds.
Yeah, so let's just let it play through. Now you can just see how it works. I don't know what that object is down there, but Claudia, it's big.
That's why I think it's a shadow.
Yeah, I think I would concur.
Mm.
There
That's
it is.
definitely some kind of a anomaly. Now the moon just passed in front of the SDO over the last 48 hours, because there were people, all over YouTube once again, claiming that it's Planet X, it's Nibiru, and every single month now during this 6-month period, we get these people. I'll leave them nameless, but they continue to spread that piece of disinformation when it's clearly the moon. I talked about it today in my my morning live stream, but this is during daylight hours.
Well, I mean, it may have.
That's kind of odd.
It is, and
I don't think that's the moon. I think that's too big of a shadow for a moon.
I don't think this is the Earth wobbling. I think the satellite's view is changing, and
then it wouldn't be in geosynchronous orbit.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, well, there's something maybe affecting its orbit, but it doesn't have to be affecting its orbit. It's changing its perspective, perhaps.
Well,
but I don't think the Earth would be wobbling this much within a 1 hour interval. If there is a wobble, it will wobble to a certain position, stay there for a while, and then perhaps move gently back. But this kind of movement is too dramatic.
Well, it's one of those interesting anomalies. And again, I agree.
We would be getting tidal waves all the time if this was occurring.
What's interesting, you mentioned that, because if you go and do a Google search on rogue waves, there is a lot of that taking place. I don't know. I mean, again, I think that the mystery I have more than, again, with the satellite, we can determine what's going on. But this object down here, I don't know if that's the moon, but the moon was in new moon. So there, anyway, that's the one anomaly that caught my eye more.
Yeah, I think we'd need to go and see what all this means for the satellite, because.
Well, it's this is run by the University of Wisconsin.
I think we'd have to look at some of the details about what darkness means. I mean, we can figure out that the white is clouds. The black, I'm not sure, could be something else. I mean, they obviously must have some kind of scale to tell us what each shadow means. And without looking at that, we cannot really interpret.
Well, let's take this into consideration. If the Earth has been in this type of motion for quite some time now, then the patterns of the ocean would fall into this regular wobbling motion. That's a pretty clear shot of that down in the lower left-hand corner. That would look like the moon, but again, very hard to say. But if the Earth has already started into this wobble, the Earth would be in this rotational pattern. The oceans would follow. So it would be just like a very well synchronized motion. So if the Earth was wobbling and it was in that set pattern already, then the oceans would follow.
Yeah.
So we would definitely have somewhat of an increase in, higher tides maybe, or these rogue waves. Very, very hard to say. But, some of the recent data that I've been looking at, and, what was it? Not even 48 hours ago, I got an email from my Norwegian friend, and I've been in touch with this man now since 2016. He's a retired ship captain, and he spent 35 years on the ocean, working for, I believe it's Maersk, the big cargo ships that transport the cargo containers. And he's been retired now for a couple of years, but he has one of those gigantic brass antique ship compasses. And it came off of a ship that his grandfather piloted for 30 years. His whole family is ship captains. And I've had many, many emails from him back and forth. And he has this gigantic brass compass. It's huge. It's something that you would see on a ship. And he has it in his little home office. And the other day, out of nowhere, it started spinning, and it spun for about 10 seconds. And he was trying to grab his cell phone so he could videotape it real quick, but within that 10 seconds, it had stopped. Yep. Now, he's been telling me for the last several years that he's been seeing these magnetic anomalies, and he's been documenting them. He's been documenting them in a small journal since the end of 2016. At one point in time, he was in a complete panic, and he said at one point in time the compass was off about anywhere between 8 and 12 degrees. Now,
interesting you say that.
Yeah. Now they've had, and this is all this data is out there, but over the last 2 years, we don't really check on Scandinavian weather, but I do. I keep track of weather all around the world, and over the last 2 years, they've had some very interesting weather in Norway, Sweden, and Finland, specifically in the southern regions and the far northern regions. So at periods during the beginning of this fall season for us, their temperatures should be well below freezing. They were not. They were above 40 degrees. So I was telling everybody, just maybe about 5 to 6 weeks ago, that we would start to see this very deep drop in the jet stream. And it kind of coincides with this earth wobble. It would be about a 17-degree dip in this jet stream. We saw it last year around the same time, and it went all the way through the winter season in the northern hemisphere. We saw this huge jet stream dip go all the way down to the United States Mexico border. So anybody that lives in Arizona and parts of Texas, well, you all remember your weather last year. And Wayne, especially you in Colorado, that big horseshoe-shaped dip, it came down so far that it created very, very severe winter weather anomalies through the whole midsection of the United States. Now, yes, I know during those times of the year, yes, there's snow, there's cold weather, but this dip was very, very severe. We're going to see the same identical thing this year, but I think it's going to be a little bit worse. I think that the center sections of the United States, that huge dip in the jet stream is actually going to be worse this year. Now, there'll be some areas of the eastern part of the United States that will really not see a very, very cold winter. They'll see a wet winter, meaning, maybe ice, sleet, and rain. And it just seems that sector, I'm in that sector where it's going to be a warmer winter. But if you travel 200 miles west of where I'm at in Pittsburgh, totally different story, because that trough will tend to go upward.
Groundhog Day.
So we're definitely like the portions of Ohio and upstate New York, especially near the Buffalo area. The Buffalo area of New York, that section, they were literally hammered last year. But then if you compare the snowfall with Buffalo, which they usually do get, a lot of snow, but compare it with the other side of New York, the eastern side of New York, totally different scenario. So I think we're gonna continue to see these weather patterns, and they are going to get worse. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Earlier this morning, I was on a video conference with a man from India who works on my websites, and we spoke for probably about an hour. And he lives in northern India. And yes, over the last couple of years, the last 2 years, they have had extreme cold. And he said that it has already started. And many, many people are once again panicking because last year and the year before, that weather pattern and that weather anomaly took thousands of lives. People literally died. Knock it off, dog.
Hey, you guys heard about that strange, those millions of trees that fell over near Italy, right?
Mm.
Yeah, that was devastating.
Yeah.
That's the second time, like in 3 years, that something bizarre like that happened.
Well, I wanted to bring this back into the conversation. This is as you can see, this gentleman here is actually a seismologist living in Taiwan. This is major, and I can concur with the same 8-degree shift. He gives very accurate readings of exactly where the sun has always risen, gives exactly longitude, latitude, so we know exactly where he's at.
Is this Andy Chang, the geophysicist?
Yep, that's him. And
wow.
So
yeah, I read this, and so he suddenly on one day found that he read the sun's position, and the sun's position was not the same. So he said, well, it's basically either to do with the Earth's axis shifting or the magnetic pole shifting. But there is another possibility, and that other possibility is just that the sun did not come up in the right position, because I'm sure it doesn't expect the sun to be a simulator in the sky. But when it's a simulator, there's sometimes some mistakes happen, and then the sun does not appear in the correct position one day. And I've come across a lot of YouTube videos where people found this. Suddenly one day the sun has shifted, and they can actually move to another place in their yard where they can now see it where they couldn't the day before.
Well, I think that I know that I had to do a project on Monday. So I've got great compasses, and that's when I noticed that the magnetic north had shifted west. I wrote you, Scott, an email, and Claudia, you both on this. And it seems that, and I have also gotten emails from people in Canada. I got one in Sweden, got another one in, again, in Indonesia. They're all saying the same thing. So I don't know. I don't know if we're seeing an actual event taking place. I don't know. It seems like there is definitely, I think, something going on. I know north is not where it was. I've lived in the same house for nearly 15 years.
Yeah, there is another possibility with the magnetic field, and that is because a large portion of our magnetic field is external. In other words, it's to do with the currents in the ionosphere and the magnetosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And the part that's internal, it cannot just change. It can change through a crustal displacement only. But the outside field is actually larger than the internal field. So there is, of course, the possibility that those currents shift. And they would shift because of objects arriving at Earth that have high magnetic fields. And there would, if one of these large objects arrives, as you know, we call them stellar cores, and they have high magnetic fields, they could shift our magnetic field like that. So it could be that that's what we're observing.
I'm just thinking about what we saw on that satellite. That was, by the way, the GO-17, brand new. That's a brand new bird up there. So I keep on thinking that one frame of a very large object, and I can't help but not think, is that recording something that is passing by? I mean, it was passing by pretty damn quick.
Yeah, well, it was showing the Earth in increments of 1 hour. So we're not seeing a gentle movement there. But the thing is, what
I was talking about the shadow.
Oh, the shadow. Okay.
Yeah. The one that was at,
I'm not sure what the shadow is, but I guess we would expect some shadows if we expect to have a moon and so on. But I don't. The objects could cause shadows as well.
Stellar cores could they not?
Yeah, of course they could.
Okay, I think that what maybe we could.
But I'm not sure what it is because it's not totally clear.
Well, here's something to bite on, and this may be kind of far out there, but over the last couple of days, NASA has issued several warnings about very large near-Earth objects zipping by once again between the moon and the Earth. I wrote a couple of articles on them earlier last week when the information was coming out. You know, I mean, anything's a possibility at this particular time. That's not the space station. That shadow would be absolutely too massive compared to the little space station. So whatever that was passing by.
You guys can't hear me on there, right?
Yeah, we got you good, Jeff. We can hear you 5 by 5.
They're just wondering if I'm even here in the conversation.
No, jump on in. I mean, because now Jeff, let's get you in here. So you monitor a lot of different cameras around the world and been doing it for a long time. And you're capturing, all the time. It's just curious. I'm wondering if this GO-17 is capturing maybe what you're seeing in some of these cams.
I totally believe that because some of the most craziest stuff that I capture happens to line up with Scott's stuff, and even the one where they shut down some of the observatories where we saw the entire sun black out on the SDO.
Oh, you mean the pedophile thing? I mean, come on. I mean, that's about as good as.
Oh, that was a joke, right? Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Right. And that is when they also blacked out and took offline all those Australian cameras. I used to capture most fantastic stuff. That whole site is basically offline.
Yeah.
I'm tired of talking about it, but I was seeing these shadowy objects in still right now, German. I'm seeing some really mind-blowing stuff that I think about to fall upon something, but I caught something with just a polarized lens, and I was going to post it, but I just want to double check with different cameras to prove this on the in the skies that we see on a clear blue sky, especially in your area because you're in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that the skies look significantly different in higher altitudes.
Oh, yes, they do.
And so I just taking a polarized lens and waving the camera from left to right, I actually caught on my own cell phone. I just didn't have the record button running, but I caught some of those weird glitches that on my cell phone, an iPhone 7, and I was able to see a darker blue sky through the polarized lens that you wouldn't see with the naked eye, because the polarized takes removes that refracted light. So you, like when you're looking at water, for example, the surface of water, if you have a normal lens on it, you will just see the light refracting off the top of the water. But if you have a polarized lens, you can see through the water.
You know, so we've all heard about the release now about the dust bunnies, the cloud that apparently the Earth is in. Did y'all read that? What they?
Yeah. I just did a recent article and I updated it. It was in reference to the Earth having 2 additional moons. Is that what you're referencing?
Yes, exactly what I am referencing.
Yeah. And you know, I have never, in all my years of studying Earth space science, I have never, ever heard about that. You know, and I read articles from all over the place. You know,
it's time to find it to bring it into conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I just did an updated article on it, I think either today or yesterday, because they continue to talk about it. And I was going through some Google News, and I was looking at all the political drama, and I happened to see once again an updated article on this. Earth has 2 additional moons. One of them was in reference to this dust cloud that they're referencing, and it's pretty interesting.
Globules, isn't that odd, Claudia? That we were just talking about that on Monday night at the stellar core. You know, I mean the galactic core, globules, and now
yes,
I swear they listen to our program.
Oh, I believe so. I mean, going back to what Jeff P was talking about with these Australian webcams back in 2017, and Jeff could attest to this, both of us were monitoring those Australian webcams, you know, on an hourly basis. And between the 2 of us, wow, we caught all kinds of anomalies. And then what did they start doing, Jeff? They started shutting them down. No access to them. You know, they did the same thing about 9 months ago with the webcams, the FAA webcams. Then they did the same thing last year. There was a lady down in Florida. I forget what her YouTube channel is. I think it's Gator Lynn or something like that. She monitors those FAA webcams constantly. And some of the specific ones that she was monitoring and doing videos about, after she exposed it so much, they shut them down. They just shut them down. And then she literally contacted them and complained about it. So they put the cameras back online, but when they put them back online, they edited out multiple frames. And when they would edit the multiple frames out, they would all be in a line for a period of time. And that period of time was during the period where the sun would be rising and moving through the frame of that specific camera. So you're damn right. They do listen to people like me, like Claudia, Jeff P., yourself, and many, many others. I've said this before, that the tools that we're using, they're watching what we're doing, and then they see how we come up with our evidence, and that allows them to basically stop what we're doing.
Well, I'm intrigued, Claudia, on this whole dust cloud revelation. When you read it, they're saying that it's at the L5 position, you know, so that's 5 lunar lengths out.
Yeah, well, that's on the side of Earth. Well, but that's very strange. We do know that we have large amounts of dust coming in. That's what's causing all these colors in the sky, all these strange colors. And we've had it for a long time, and it's increasing. So dust moons. I mean, that is
That's what they called it.
Tiny disclosure that we have huge amounts of dust coming into our atmosphere that does not belong on Earth. They still a cool matter, and they absorbing energy from the Earth. And, you know, it's a disclosure, I suppose, a tiny one.
Well,
I got something that you guys might be interested in on the regards to the pole shift.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with the ancient equator theory?
No,
I read a little bit about it.
Okay, so I've actually got all the ancient sites plotted out on my Google Earth, and I drew a line, and it forms a perfect circle around the Earth. Would you like to see it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so and in that is the theory what I go very strongly with, the lost city of Atlantis.
Oh.
So why don't we share the screen real quick, and I'll just kind of give you a tour around the world and show you the ancient sites and the ancient equator. And guess where the center, the North Pole would be? Right about where Barack Obama went.
And
in Mount
you have
McKinley,
screen share, right?
Yeah. Okay, so let me share the screen and show you what I got.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, let me know if you can see my screen. You guys see Google Earth?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so some of these sites I can't pronounce, but some of them are very familiar. I'm going to start with the pyramids of Egypt. How's that?
Okay.
And I'm implying that during this pole shift, that these were energy systems that were built on the ley lines and the ancient equator. So here is the pyramids of Egypt. You guys see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next one, let's go to the next one. See that red line?
Mm-hmm.
That's the equator. So here is another ancient site. Tassel, Algier, whatever, right? Okay, so there's a little pyramid there. Then we got Machu Picchu.
Oh, yeah, Machu Picchu.
Everybody knows, a lot of people know Machu Picchu. The stones were cut the same way that the pyramids of Egypt were, tightly cut stones. Machu Picchu, right?
Yeah, the same with Punapuco.
Yeah, and now Nazca lines. Remember Nazca?
Yeah.
All the over in Chile. The Nazca lines. So here's Nazca in Peru. Right on this line, still following this line. Easter Island. Everybody knows Easter Island. Still following right along that line. Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when I draw back to see this, so here's Easter Island.
Wow.
And here, this is in Cambodia, another ancient site.
Yeah, my daughter went there. She actually toured the ruins.
These ruins, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're still going.
Look at that. Now, this is very interesting because Angkor Wat is, well, it's very, very strange inside there. She said it feels weird, as she said.
Exactly. That's why I think they're giant energy transducers. So here's another ancient site. You can see the ruins here. Here's Persepolis. I hope I pronounced that right. Let's go. It's there. Everyone is right smack on the line. You can see. And when I zoom this thing out, you're going to see this is a perfect circle around all these ancient ruins. And believe me, we're coming up on. And now the lost city of Ur, the Sumerian.
Well, hello, Abram.
Exactly.
Where have all the flowers gone? Anyway.
Right. There's some more ancient ruins.
Yeah.
Here's another one.
Look at that. Whoa. That is very interesting. Go back on the one right there in Ur. That's the ziggurat that, interestingly enough, was the ziggurat that was dedicated to Diana, the moon goddess, Aphrodite, etc. Isn't that? And look how it goes right
through it, man.
In the center of it.
Right through it.
Wow.
Yeah,
And look how it begins to alter on that. That is so freaking weird.
If you want to follow more up on this, I believe that the Schumann resonances of the Earth are vibrating on that energy, and they're giant energy transducers. And these, if Michael Tallinger, he really has a lot to say.
Write a paper on this, Jeff.
I should, huh?
Yeah, I'm serious.
they basically scalar energy.
Look at that.
And look at, and like, they're actually like using, I believe they're sending sound vibrational energy right down. You know, we were lied to. These are not worship centers. These are energy centers.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree too. I've read quite a bit about these lines, and I mean, they go back very, very far into ancient times and literally formed a grid pattern around the entire world. So, you know, a lot of what we were taught pertaining to ancient man, I believe that there is so much more out there that either we don't know about or we just weren't told the truth.
So you say Atlantis was there? Where is this?
This is what they call the Eye of Sarah. I'm calling it the lost city of Atlantis.
Oh.
Because this was underwater. According to, these are even the Atlas Mountains. Look, let's see, Atlas, Atlantis. Right. Now, they've already tried to prove, the scientists are baffled at this because it's not a meteor impact. It doesn't have the impacted soil. In fact, it had the material, they believe it was man-made. It's just too perfect. In fact, according to the writings of Plato, this was 127 stadia across. No, that equates to about 77,000 feet, right? It's perfect. Look at the measurement. I'm going to just measure the radius of this in feet. Now, from here's about the center of this thing. Well, 38,000 feet is almost spot on.
Wow. I see. Yeah.
So Jeff, question. This is interesting.
Well, now in the bigger picture, I just want to, you guys, we can go back to these sites, but let me zoom this whole thing out. We can see this is a perfect circle around the Earth. This isn't just the top bottom.
Can you stop right here? So could you adjust that for an 8-degree shift on the lateral plane of the equator?
Let's see if I can get.
If you can't, I'd be curious later on because this is very, very compelling.
Well, I was interested in this. If you measure this out, that puts Alaska, the new pole would be right about here.
What about the Antarctica?
Oh, Antarctica, that's an interesting point too, because we can measure. That would put it pretty close to the bottom as well. Let's see if I can.
It would be between Africa and Antarctica or something. Huh?
Look at this. That would put it into the Tropic of Cancer zone, wouldn't it?
Somewhere. Some about right here.
Look at that.
Yeah, so it puts it.
It would.
Well, there's no doubt that, you know, Antarctica is coming into play.
Let's put it right about here.
Yeah, it's coming into play with all of these governments. Matter of fact, just today, I was reading an article that that just came out that the United States government is very, very concerned because now all of a sudden, China is making claim to a part of Antarctica, and they are already putting in airfields.
Yeah, Jeff, can I ask you a question? What's your calculation on the dating of your postulation here, by the way, which is just freaking spot on, mate? When would you put this occurring? It would be what? 3,000 BCE? What are we talking about? I mean, you've got the pyramid.
Yeah, I would think I'm going to put it 4,300 to 4,400 years ago.
Interesting.
So
I was going to draw another quick point.
Was what changed it?
You know, that's the
you notice
question,
this is the
Dr.
CERN
Allen.
Hadron Collider, right?
Yeah.
You guys familiar with the CERN Hadron Collider, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys watch Dutch Sense and his earthquake predictions?
I do.
Remember Dutch sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, you guys remember where all the deep earthquakes are always marked out on his channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, look where the other side of the planet, which sits about almost right at the deep earthquake zone. See where I could take and roll this around? That's where the center, that's the opposite side of the CERN Hadron Collider. And look where this is. That's like only so many, let's see. How many miles is that?
Well, that's right in the area where they have those very deep earthquakes.
The deepest record-breaking quakes are always starting right here.
Right there. And I mean, they're always the deep ones too.
Yeah, 4, 5, 600 kilometers.
Remember, we had the one that was 8.1 earthquake that was 669 kilometers deep.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, and we're getting 5.0s are just off the scale. Like I've got phone notifications that are lighting me up like 10 times a day now.
Yeah. This is so interesting because, I think about the Phineas maps that 1580 that shows that he as a map maker shows Antarctica ice free. Shows the mountain ranges, shows the valleys, shows in fact all the rivers. And today we've got 17,000 feet, 3 miles of ice on a continent that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
I mean,
that's what we're looking forward to is that shift. I think that's going to be our equator.
I think you're spot on with that. I really do. Speaking of which, I tell you, the serendipity here, folks, it's off the scale. Guess what I just happened to have? There's the map. And as you can see, this is exactly the mountain ranges he shows as well. You can actually see where South America is actually coming in and touching Antarctica. So I guess the question, Dr. Albers, could we see a tectonic shift of so fast?
What I see here is two things. Well, you have a crustal displacement, and that's likely to occur when one of these very large objects approach the Earth very closely and grab the crust. And what I see here as well is that Africa was much closer to Antarctica, and so was South America, it seems. So this shows that the Earth actually may have expanded in size at the time. And that can happen as well. I've also written about the fact that there's a possibility that the Earth, due to this great change that occurs at that time, can actually expand. And this is what this shows. Look how much closer Africa is to Antarctica.
Yeah.
And South America to Antarctica.
It almost looks like, in fact, we can pull up. Yeah, look at it. He shows South America actually touching.
Mm-hmm. Look at that. Yeah.
Look at that. And I mean, this is just a daily swim.
And look at where the North Pole is. There was a whole lot of land there.
Yeah, right over here. This is very interesting.
Yeah.
So I wonder, you guys want to discuss CERN, or what's your thoughts about the CERN Hadron Collider? And I think we know the true purpose, right? You think it plays a role in the whole
I
shift?
can tell you what I think, but
go ahead.
I mean, they're just theories.
Well, I think they're trying to open an interdimensional portal with it. I think they may be trying to affect something within the Earth. That's a possibility. But I mean, the main thing is opening the interdimensional portal. And it's nothing good. I think they have very evil intentions. I don't think a lot of people ask me about the magnetic field. The magnetic field is high, but it's high inside the collider itself. and it won't be high outside the toroid. It will only be high on the inside. So the magnetic field itself will not be doing much. But the collisions, because they are colliding particles, and particles are energy. And energy affects that energy when they collided at that force. They affecting the confinement of the particles themselves. And that means they affecting the space-time continuum through that. And I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to break the space-time continuum by breaking the confinement of the particles. They're trying to break mass to reach space, basically.
Can I ask a question on Dr. Alberts on that one? Is that, so they're generating, terabytes. It's up there. I think, what are they at? 13 TE?
Petabytes or something.
Yeah. TVEs that they're so up there. Where are they dumping all this energy at? I mean, if they're dumping it into the Earth, the question I have, that seems to be an artificial jolt going into the Earth. And could that have a cause and effect of where we're now detecting cosmic rays coming from the Earth, particularly Antarctica?
No, I think the cosmic rays are not due to this, because even though they are colliding these particles, they're not colliding large amounts of matter. You have to remember that they're using small amounts of matter at a time. It's just a couple of particles they're colliding at a time. So the force of the collision is enormous, but it's not a lot of matter. Mass itself has a lot of energy in it. Einstein told us that, because to get the energy out of matter, you multiply it by the speed of light squared. That's a lot of energy. So if you take a small amount of mass and you turn it into photon energy, you're going to get a lot of energy. That's how fusion works, how nuclear weapons work. They're not doing this here. They're not taking enough matter to cause. The problem is that they are trying to break space itself. And that is very dangerous. That's why Hawking cautioned them against what they were doing, because they can break the space-time continuum and cause a rupture. But I think that's what they're trying to do anyway. They're trying to create a wormhole through space-time. Now, what is happening with the Earth, with the cosmic rays? That's the same reason why the sun became a source of cosmic rays. And that is because the Earth generates its own energy in its core. That's one of the things they've hidden from us. The Earth has a generator in its core, and it works through radioactive decay. So unstable nuclei break up or fission, and energy is released in the form of gamma rays. Now, when the stellar cores absorb energy from the Earth, they actually pulling more energy out of the Earth. So the Earth generates more and more energy. So there's more and more gamma rays, and then there is a whole lot of energy going on and particle collisions, and you end up with very high energy particles leaving the interior of the Earth. The same thing happened with the sun, because the stellar cores pulled all this energy and still are doing from the sun. And then the sun becomes a source of these high energy particles. The same thing's happening. That's why it's coming from the inside.
Interesting. I mean, again, they're messing with serious stuff there.
They are.
If you guys remember,
doing is extremely dangerous for our planet.
You remember the UFO phenomenon started after the first atomic test explosion in White Sands, New Mexico in 1947. And then in Roswell, we had our first incident. So I believe there's a direct relationship to high energy explosions, the breaking of the veil, the breaking of the magnetic fields with that's what the fascination with nuclear bombs, nuclear testing, and particle accelerators, plasma accelerators is all part of the same game, because every time they have this, they open the veil to the other world.
See, and I think that, you know, Claudia used the word wormhole, and I think that's very appropriate. I see it as well as a veil, that they're really trying to lift this veil that, in fact, I was talking about it yesterday on my noon show. I think there was at one time, this veil was not here. I think there was a time when man and whatever's on the other side was almost in coexistence with each other. And now there is this division, and it always fascinates me is who's behind this? What's the end game for them breaking the veil, getting a wormhole? Who are we trying to contact?
They are trying to release beings that have been imprisoned there, and they've been imprisoned for a reason. They're bad for us.
They elected a lot of bad people for us too.
You know what? I had a grand theory about that, and twice on my live stream, believe it or not, my entire city block shut off right in the middle of live stream as soon as I mentioned it. And so, and my theory was, I know it's a little far stretched, but it seems to fit Hollywood and everything else. Let's just say that Planet X is a prison planet that interdimensional beings are at, angels and demons, that at the right time, at the right particle explosion, that's why they need the D-Wave smart AI computer to figure this out at the right time at the perigee of Planet X, that when this thing comes through, the cloned, soulless demon bodies inside the planet Earth are going to come through Planet X, through the CERN Hadron Collider, into Middle Earth, and then come out through Antarctica, where the fallen ones are, and they're going to come out on basically the bottomless pit, which is Antarctica, and the gateway to that is through this. So picture hundreds of millions of cloned demons that they've been working at Nightmare Hall, the 6th floor of underneath the Denver airport. Yeah, it's your near your hometown, where they've been working on these
all the time.
And just like all the Hollywood movies but they're soulless. They don't have a soul. They're waiting for their demon drivers to inhabit them, because if you look at the every UFO, every alien, they don't have a gender. They're basically like Barbie dolls. They're smooth in the middle front, if you get my point. Mm-hmm. There's no sex to them. They don't have, boobs, genitalia, nothing. They're just smooth in the front. They're sexless.
Yeah, like the little alien grays.
Exactly.
They're androids.
And
was it K-Pax? Go ahead, Jeff.
I'm going to call them the sons of men, or the sons of God, because they're the ones that are born of God and not born of a woman. We're all the sons of men. We're all the ones that are, we have a mom. We have a physical mom. We came out a birth canal. That's not so with the sons of men or the sons of God. They were born, they were born of angels. They didn't have this, but some of them, the angels, have the ability to have appearance of men. They take on the characteristics. They can shapeshift into any physical appearance. They can come up. You wouldn't know they can come up and shake your hand. These are the ones that believe that they had sex with the women, and their offspring became the giants. And even the Bible says that they had the height of a cedar tree. Now, I've looked up different cedar trees. It's a pretty generic term, but some cedar trees get up to 200 feet. So how many Hollywood movies have we watched where there's this undead army that comes up, whether it's Jackie Chan, the Terracotta Army, or the movie Mummy, where all this the undead army, some veil's broken, some new leader comes up and releases them all, and they all come out. They all wake up. Lord of the Rings, remember the orcs, this underground army that's building up all their weapons, waiting for that day to rise up. The Super Bowl, they had the rise of the giants, and they had these giants that were coming up. So it's pretty interesting.
Doesn't the book of Enoch actually say that they were 3,000 royal cubits high? That would place them 4,500 feet.
Whoa. Yeah, and I heard like a lot of them fossilized. I have another topic I wanted to touch on. I can't pull it up right now, but Electric Universe, the Thunderbolt project. If you ever subscribed, you go back a couple of videos, that there was a power line that fell, high voltage, 250,000-volt power line fell upon a wet redwood tree, instantly fossilizing it, transmuting the water and crystallizing it. Now, how incredible is that? So, and I think if we have an electric storm, when Planet X does come, there will be a high-powered electric storm. That might have been evidence of the real fossilized record, because some of these trees are fossilizing straight up, which defies logic, what we were told. The percolation of water doesn't even make sense. Organic material like oysters, delicate, something should have rotted long before it ever would have fossilized. It defies it. It only the thing demands is instant fossilization, including crabs inside of a crab shell. That doesn't even, that shows like the water itself crystallize in a bubble, like in a huge plasma event. You guys got to go back and watch the Thunderbolt project and watch about the instant fossilization theory. It's pretty mind-blowing.
Fascinating.
Yeah, that would explain why the Earth is so full of fossils. And that means that the fossils were created during an event, a cataclysmic event that affected the Earth. Because nowadays you can see animals die and their bones are not fossilized. They just disappear. They go back to dust eventually.
Oh, I want to show you guys one other thing too, if you got a chance. So it's
Sure,
about
go
the
ahead.
Earth and the cataclysmic event. Can I show you real quick?
Help yourself. You know,
Okay.
Claudia, adding to that real quick is that could also be another compensation for the instant freezing of the mammoths, the woolly mammoths. And
Right.
yeah.
So here's my theory, okay? And this, you guys see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here is the Gulf of Mexico. Most people won't even argue that this was an ancient meteor impact. You guys agree with that?
I say it was an asteroid, yeah, but yeah, comet,
asteroid.
Yeah.
Right? And even like the water, all the water from the United States is channeled down in this like a huge fracture. So I'm going to show you something real quick and just right in your face. So look at the opposite side of this ancient impact. What do we have? The Himalayan mountains.
Well, I mean,
that?
if you're going to press one way, it's going to come out the other.
So I proposed you that there was a shock wave that went all the way across.
Whoa, stop right there, Jeff. Go back on that. You could actually, could you see almost like a bow wave in the Himalayas?
Exactly. That's my point. A shock wave.
There it is. Yeah. Look at that.
Right there. And look at the highest point is Mount Everest. And guess what's on the top of that, right? Seashells.
Yeah. Look at that.
I think this happened in an instant.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's no doubt. I think the Himalayas were formed instantaneously. And sharp, jagged mountains.
Look how close it is to the equator. Look at the ancient equator.
Look at that. That is outstanding. What are you measuring on that? What? That's less than what? 500 miles? Less than 500 miles to your proposed equator. That is fascinating.
Right. Let me let's turn up the view. I want to show you just how perfect
I'd go to Vegas with you on these odds. Just saying. I would.
I think if you look at this again, the Gulf of Mexico, let me clear out this. We'll put it right smack center, right? And look how I'll go right over the top of this equator. And there you go, right there. Right? And I bet if I type in Mount Everest, you'll see.
I mean, that would be a shock wave that would go right through the earth, right through the interior.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, if there was a global flood, I proposed to you that the entire ocean system was ancient clear water, which came up from underneath.
I hear a train. Do y'all hear Jeff? Yeah, I don't hear Jeff.
The neighborhood I used to live over in Nevada.
They're
Oh, you guys
jacking
dropped
with
off.
you,
Oh,
buddy.
that figures.
They're
Yeah,
jacking.
he's
Yeah.
breaking up. I think, Jeff, are you live streaming this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's
bandwidth.
this the
I think the Google Earth.
screencasting software may be pulling your CPU quite a bit.
All right. I'll stop sharing the screen, let you guys take over. I don't want to break this up.
You know, there was something that I had a question. You know, I'm not too much of a fan of CERN. There's a lot of things that I don't believe about what they do at CERN. It's kind of like the Bigfoot theory. You know, I think that it's kind of popularized somewhat. We really don't know exactly what they do at CERN. You know, like Claudia was saying, you know, they're trying to open up portals. They're doing this, they're doing that. The fact of the matter is, we don't know exactly what they're doing there. And when you talk about these wormholes and opening up portals and things of that nature, well, what would be the benefit of it? If you move away from the demonic beings and all of that good stuff, and you talk about wormholes, you can go back as far as the 1930s and the 1940s and even into the 1950s. Top scientists around the world, and this is a fact. It's just not my opinion, it's a fact. But during this time period from the 1930s going into the 1950s, you know, these scientists from Russia and Germany and here in the United States were all working together on similar things, what people think they're doing at CERN. If we were able to open up a wormhole, so let me just say this: they already knew that something cataclysmic was going to happen to the Earth. So if they knew all the way back into the 1930s and the 1940s, if they knew this was going to happen, well, what would happen to the Earth if it passed through a wormhole? Where would you come out? Why is there always been this deep search for other Earth-like planets? Now, I just read some information pertaining to scientists, astronomers, astrophysicists from around the world stating that within our galaxy, there are over 40 billion Earth-like planets. So if your planet was in jeopardy and you wanted to keep the planet, you didn't want to just go blast off into outer space and go find another planet and go live on that planet. Everything is right here on Earth. So you have a ready-made planet. What's to say that you're not trying to transport your planet into another dimension and keep everything just the way that it is? All of your infrastructure, all of your technology, transporting, what would happen? I mean, I've never heard anybody talk about transporting a planet through a wormhole. Where would you come out at?
Yeah, the thing is that the size of the wormhole is dependent on energy. Everything is dependent on energy. If you want to open a wormhole, you need energy. And that's why they are using more energetic accelerators now than they ever have. But they need larger and larger accelerators because obviously they wouldn't have been able to do it with the smaller ones.
Couldn't they? There are hadron colliders all over the world. There's one down in Texas that I know of personally. Could they daisy chain those? Claudia, can you think about that? You know, listen, I do software systems, and one of the things I was good at is that, you know, is that daisy chain. If I don't have a big enough database, well, then I can daisy chain to the next database.
No, it would be too difficult to transfer the energy beam from one to the other.
But if you use the Earth, you would use the Earth as a conduit.
Yeah, but the Earth won't work because the Earth is too hot on the inside. So your containment would melt.
Well, I was just thinking of Tesla,
Yeah, I mean, if you go down a couple of kilometers, you hit 1,000-degree Kelvin temperature already.
No.
So
yeah.
now plus the Earth is just not stable. As you know, we having lots of earthquakes all the time. I don't think so. I think it would be way too difficult. They need to keep that confinement very carefully. They need very low temperatures. That magnetic field that they all produce, I'm sure it goes wrong all the time because it requires a lot of wiring around the toroid, and it's very finicky. I'm sure they're always trying to fix this and that, because whenever you're trying to reach these high energies, high magnetic field, things break down easily. You cannot just transfer from one to another. No.
Well, it's an interesting
but they may
theory.
have more of them working at the same time. That may help. That's why they have more than one.
Well, the Earth is a conduit, so I don't know. It's very interesting.
Do you think they would be able to, or possibly try to generate enough energy to stop a magnetic pole flip?
Well, I'm just using Tesla's theory.
So.
I mean, Tesla said that,
I think, well, speaking of Tesla's theories, it kind of coincides with what Jeff was talking about and this grid, because basically his pattern of transfer of electricity was through the air and through a grid pattern, similar to what the ancients have done. I think we have been totally lied to about ancient man going back all the way to Neanderthal, because
sorry, you're right about that electricity thing, because the Earth, and I think this is what Tesla found, but it didn't quite understand what it was. He knew that there was electricity inside the Earth, but the electricity is different from what is up there in the outer layers. It's positive charge on the inside.
Well, Claudia, I would say that the firmament would be your buffer. That, if you look at the firmament as what's the word I'm trying to look for? A neutralizer.
Yeah, the outer layer is always negatively charged. That's the structure in everything, every isolated object. Atoms are like that. They're positive on the inside and negative on the outside. So the planets are the same. That's why planets don't collide, because they're all positively charged. If a planet comes very close together, touches the atmosphere, and then the atmosphere is negatively charged. But the moment it goes into the atmosphere, it detects the positive charge on the inside and they repel. That's why they don't collide. That's why the stellar cores don't collide with the sun, because they're both positively charged.
I wanted to bring up a subject here real quick, and some of the things that I've been looking at over the last couple of weeks. I really haven't said anything about it. Claudia has touched on it quite a bit, and maybe you've looked into it also, Wayne. But it's pretty detrimental to our entire planet right now, and it is the heating up of our ionosphere. We have. I really haven't talked about it all that much, but maybe now is a very good time to literally warn people. We can sit here and we could talk about CERN and ancient man all day long. It's not going to do us any good, because what's actually occurring now is completely 100% irreversible. We don't have any control of what is happening. Man and man's science and technology right now does not have any control over what is happening. And I really hate to throw out dates. I'm really not one of these date setters, but I think that we are in some very, very serious trouble within the next year or two. I think the Earth is going to be a completely different place. We have very, very serious problems in our upper atmosphere. The ionosphere is so heavily charged. And Claudia, you might want to touch on this. I don't know.
Definitely. I would agree with that. I think the Earth is at the edge of going into having all kinds of possible cataclysmic events. And the ionosphere is one of those. The upper atmosphere is heating up all the time. Why is it heating up? Because stellar core dust, more and more of it is coming in. And when it makes contact with Earth matter, heat occurs. The atmosphere from Earth heats up because the energy from inside the Earth gets pulled right out towards the edge where the stellar core matter is making contact.
Exactly.
I've written articles about that. So there's incredible heating of our ionosphere. But it's not only that. These objects are removing our atmosphere. We are having less and less atmosphere. They are removing our ionosphere as well. So we're getting ionospheric holes, just like the sun got coronal holes. The same thing is happening. Now, when we have less atmosphere, we become more prone to meteorites hitting the surface because they just don't burn up because the atmosphere is not that thick.
Thank you very much.
And we have huge amounts of debris in the solar system. I mean, my last article was about that, where, in a live stream on October 28th, Scott showed that footage of that object coming in towards the sun. I'm writing another article on that. Where this object was, and we saw it on our show, Wayne, as well. This object was surrounded by debris. It was followed by a huge amount of debris. Now, the stellar core debris is low in energy, so it doesn't respond to gravitational fields very well, at least initially. But over the years, it absorbs energy, and then it becomes more responsive. And then it becomes asteroids, and then it becomes meteorites. And over the year, and this was 2013, so it's been 5 years. This matter, this debris has been coming in for years. It's absorbing energy. We are just, I don't know why we haven't had anything like a meteorite shower impact the Earth.
It's coming.
It's
coming.
Huge cataclysmic event. It's not only that. The stellar cores are approaching the Earth. The gravitational fields are moving across the surface of the Earth. And what does it do? It expands and contracts the surface of the Earth. It causes tidal waves over the ocean. That's why we had ocean recession events. And these are going to get worse and worse. And they break up the surface of the Earth. So the whole surface of the Earth is going to break up more and more as these objects keep moving across. Plus, we can actually feel it because it changes the density of the water in our bodies. So it causes the human body to actually feel certain effects. You can imagine that if the water in your cells expands, you're going to feel some effects. It contracts, you're going to feel it. If it expands, you may get earaches, headaches. Your heart may not be able to pump if it's denser, so you get heart problems. It depends on the weaknesses your body has, but human beings are going to feel it.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are happening right now, a lot of things that I've been keeping track of that I just haven't spoke about because there's no way for me to get the data. There's no way for me to get the actual evidence. I just don't like going out there and just saying what I think without having something to prove it. But as of the last couple of years, going back around 2013 to the present, okay, people keep referring to the cosmic radiation. What Claudia is talking about with this dust, we are literally on the fringes of heading directly into it.
Do you think that's a cover story for the iron oxide dust that we're going to be going through?
What's that?
Do you think that whole dust thing might be their little cover story for the iron oxide dust tail the Earth is going to be going through?
I mean, there's a possibility. They may be leaking little tidbits of information out there, but the cosmic rays that they're constantly talking about, I think that they're disguising a lot of this cosmic rays as what we're actually approaching. We are literally on the fringes of it. And as we start to get deeper into it, we are going to have more and more problems. Just what Claudia just said about the Earth, breaking up, the crust, the fractures. Listen, I would like to share my screen with you, and I'd like to show you exactly what just happened in India. It turned an entire town, thousands and thousands of people freaking out and panicking because over 1.5 kilometers of land just literally rose up and cracked wide open and fractured out of nowhere.
Like that huge rift, like kind of what we saw in a chunk of Africa splitting off type of thing.
Pretty similar, but this is actually even worse.
Yeah. What do you think the odds of a holographic Nibiru or Planet X causing that effect?
Yeah, I mean the bottom line is I've been seeing tons and tons of disinformation, all over the internet, all over Facebook, all over YouTube. And the fact of the matter is, these people that are putting this type of information out do not know what they're talking about. They do not do legitimate research. They do not have any science backgrounds, and it's all for clickbait. Folks, I'm going to look you dead in the eye tonight, and I'm going to tell you that we are going to be going through some very, very serious changes over the course of the next year. I'm telling you right now, going into the winter solstice, we are going to see some very serious winter storms. We're going to be going into the springtime, and it's going to continue. There is no way in hell that man can change this. I don't care how powerful CERN is. I don't care what people think they do at CERN. CERN is not even in the picture. There is no way to change what is about to happen to this planet. I've been telling people this for years, but people go through life with these blinders on. All you have to do is just drive through a Walmart parking lot, and people have their heads down. They don't look up. People are in a complete daze. They do not know what is happening around them. And I'm telling you right now, you watch very closely over the course of the next 6 to 9 months. If we start seeing people disappearing, and I'm talking mainstream scientists, big brains, if we start seeing these people disappearing, it's not that they're dying off. They're being taken underground. Because you need those minds, you need those brains. And we're talking about all different avenues of science, from medical to physics. Trust me, mark this date on your calendar in this video. I am telling you, I hate to go on a video and warn people, but people don't seem to understand anything unless you talk about doomsday or apocalyptic situations. And we are literally going into it right now. People think that all of this is going to happen in one day. You're going to wake up and the earth is going to be upside down and everything's going to be destroyed. No, folks, you are literally seeing the slow pattern of destruction of this planet. Things are not going to be the same. They are not. There is a lot that the governments are hiding because they do not want people to know, because they can't do anything about it. They've already gone underground. We have the tunneling systems around the entire United States. They go all the way through Europe. They're all the way through Russia and China. The big countries are already prepared. They're already prepared for this. The only people that they are going to take underground, again, are the people with the brains, because they're going to literally have to start over. And if you think that I'm crazy talking about this, well, how do you account for some ancient men that went underground? We've found their little underground facilities.
Yeah, it begs the question: why did they go underground in the first place?
Exactly, and I'll tell you why. because they were not able to survive the amount of heat that was going to be imposed on this planet. People keep talking about an ice age. And look, how can you have an ice age when you have the ionosphere heating up, the atmosphere heating up, and the oceans around the world are heating up? They're becoming so acidic, the lakes on this planet. People talk about the fish die-offs. People don't know why, but people don't understand that we have over 1 million underwater volcanoes around the planet, and it's a very, very dangerous place. We can't get down there and monitor all of these volcanoes, but they are going off. They're spewing all of their material directly into the oceans. Now, getting back to what I was talking about, what just happened in India, let me just share this article. And I was talking with my web developer this morning in India. He lives in northern India, and that's what we were discussing about the weather patterns. And as he's been working on some things for me, he's actually been reading some of my articles, and now he's kind of paying close attention to what I'm talking about. And in the southern part of his country, in India, like I just said, the whole entire ground for over 1.5 kilometers just split wide open. Now, the government was completely blown away, and they blamed it on the humidity, the lack of humidity in the mud. What?
Yeah, they usually either blame the rain or the lack of rain.
Yeah, I just want to, I have to show this to you guys because, I mean, this is, can I move this?
They forget to look up.
Hey, I have a question from somebody in the chat room. Maybe at some point we can answer some of these questions.
Sure.
One of them was the new moons that suddenly appeared on Jupiter.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
at some point.
Another 8 of them have joined the
8 more moons. I wonder if they were Planet X.
The
system
thing
moons. They have to be, right?
Mm.
They are
just show up and go, hey, here I am. I'm hanging out now.
We have to realize what Planet X is. Planet X is a huge system, a dead star system, lots and lots of them, probably thousands of dead star systems with stars and dead planets and dead moons. It's huge numbers of objects, thousands and thousands. It's huge. It's much larger than the solar system. It encompasses the solar system on every side. And they have started coming in at least 5,000 years ago. They come in as comets. They are comets. They come to the sun's corona as comets. The stellar core dust or the Planet X dust started coming in, at least we could see. One of the signs that it started coming in was that we got noctilucent clouds from 1850. But the effects started even before that. Probably the Great Flood was caused by one of them. Every cataclysm that has happened on the Earth has been caused by one of these objects. I call it the destroyer system. This destroyer system is slowly assimilating our solar system, bit by bit, absorbing the energy of the sun, absorbing the energy of the planets. And more of them have been coming in for thousands of years. So, of course, the number of moons keeps increasing. And I think in the last few years, it has suddenly exploded, probably because our sun got weaker. I think our sun, when it was very strong, could actually keep them out better. Maybe it was its magnetic field. I am not sure. But somehow in the last tens of years, 20, 30, 50, maybe 100 years, the number of objects coming in has absolutely exploded. Until now, the solar system is just so full of them, so full of their debris, because when they get old and they lose their energy, they shed their outer layers of material. So then this debris field is around the object and follows the object as it moves. So they fill the solar system with debris, and they fill the solar system with stellar core moons. I call them moon cores, because what's left of the object is just the core. And all celestial objects, all real celestial objects that form in a high electric field have a core in them that then generates energy. So even small moons will have it. What's left of these moons is the core. What's left of the planets is the core of the original planet. What's left of the star is the original core of the star. That's what's coming in. It's been coming in for thousands of years. But this idea of Planet X and Nibiru has been placed into the cultures of the world.
Carla, for that.
For thousands of years, to give man the idea that the system will come in, it will cause destruction, it will leave, and everything will be fine. It's not like that. These objects do come in, go past the Earth, cause a cataclysmic event, but they don't leave. More and more of them keep coming in. So it's a slowly developing cataclysmic event. And we've now reached the time when the Earth will be destroyed, slowly destroyed, bit by bit.
It's definitely going to change. It's already, excuse me, it's already happening. You know, for people that are in their early 40s and 50s and 60s, this time frame of age, you're able to look back at the past and see the differences. Okay, that's why the younger generation, you know, there may be some pretty smart kids out there, but they weren't here in the late 1960s and the 70s and the 80s. So they really can't, talk about these earth changes. Now, all of us, we're kind of in that age category where we can actually look back and we can see these massive changes. This has been happening to our planet for probably millions of years. There's so much that we don't know, and we will probably never know. And you can concentrate on the past, but I think everybody better start concentrating on what is actually happening right now. When I was talking to Aaron today in India, we started talking about what he was saying, what is going on with the color of the sky? Why are these clouds this color? I've never seen anything like this before. And I said, well, how old are you? Because he's a younger guy and he's 26 years old. And, he's never seen anything like this. And the people in his country, both in the North and the South, these people are starting to notice this. Now, the article that I have up here on the screen, this article should have made worldwide news. This information should have been on every news station in the entire world, because this was not created by an earthquake. This is literally the ground breaking open for 1.5 kilometers and happening instantaneously, not over a period of weeks or months or years, instantaneously. No cause for it. Complete panic. And people wanted answers to the point where they were contacting the government. They were demanding answers because it scared them to death about what happened. And this just happened a few days ago. Look at the photograph. Look at where this man is standing.
That's some crazy footage.
Okay, this happened right near a very well-known river in this area, and Aaron knew about it. His family lives, some of his family lives in this southern portion of India, and he, over the course of the last couple of years, he said, yeah, it's getting entirely too hot in India. Now, over the last 3 years, we have seen these increased temperatures. Let's just take India specifically. And then the massive amount of cold in the northern part of the country. Like I said in the beginning, thousands of people dying over this course of the last couple of years. But just take a look at the photograph. This had nothing to do with an earthquake. There was no seismic activity. None. Zero. Take a look.
Wow.
Let that sink in.
Yeah, you see that's these objects, their gravitational influence will cause things like this, and it's going to increase until the whole surface of the earth will break up.
I mean, this is happening around the world, folks, but we just don't hear about it. So,
yeah, they don't want us to know.
Do all of you agree that maybe an article like this should have been in the news around the world, but it never made it out of India?
Yeah.
They'll
Well,
always...
don't you think? I think one of the biggest reasons why we're getting sinkholes and earthquakes is that the magnetic fields of the planets, especially Planet X, which has a magnetic radius of 8 AUs, gets anywhere near Planet X, the magnetic fields would affect the metals in the earth, causing them to move and superheat the earth. I mean, didn't we even see that in Hollywood as well? You know, like movies like The Core. How many movies we watched where the core of the earth has got problems, whether it's heating up or cooling down or stopping, you know, or they got to blow up the core and restart the earth. And
in the meantime, we're paying for it on the surface.
But
yeah, I mean,
there's the magnetic influence of all the planets as they get near us are just tugging and pulling on this thing in their orbits and just heating up our Earth's core. And I think
there's no doubt. There's no doubt. We're seeing some very, very breathtaking anomalies that are happening on this planet, and people just don't understand it. You know, you have those people that come to your YouTube channel or your Facebook page, and they leave the most ridiculous comments, ignorant comments. When I mean ignorant as in, you know, pure lack of knowledge. But I'm going to tell you something right now, folks, for all of you out there, and you could look me dead in the eye. For all of you that have doubts about these things that are happening around the world and the causes, your doubts are going to go away very, very quickly. That much I can guarantee you. And like I tell everybody, you know, the more knowledge you have of what is happening, the better off you're going to be. Because when the time comes and the infrastructures in your countries are gone, you're not going to have that cute little cell phone. You're not going to have that laptop. You're not going to have internet access. You may not have electricity. So therefore, how are you going to know what is happening and why it's happening? So I'm telling all of you right now, you better learn right now while we have the opportunity, because the people that know and the people who understand are going to have the greater chances of surviving the cataclysms that occur in their countries. It's going to happen worldwide. It is already happening. Folks, let me tell you something, and I'll tell all of you right now, and maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't, but the entire Earth is vibrating. And I mean vibrating, literally vibrating. When I talked to Aaron today, and we literally went over this article, and he shared with me the actual link to the news story, and he knows this area very well. And he said, Scott, the road that this guy is standing on right here was down here.
Yeah, you can see that it rose
He
up.
lifted up.
Look at the height. Listen, man, we don't even see that during massive earthquakes. Now,
right.
we did see that during the massive earthquake in New Zealand 2 years ago. But you know what? We don't see any of those pictures anymore, do we? Those areas, those parts of New Zealand after that earthquake, we're talking about road levels that split and rose up out of the ground 40, 50 feet. Now, that was due to an earthquake, but what you're looking at right here is 1.5 kilometers of nothing but sheer destruction. This area here now is done. And these people are freaked out. The government doesn't know exactly what happened. Lack of humidity in the mud, that was their explanation that they had to come out with a few days later after this happened. Look,
there's just a lot of changes going on, folks.
But
no
what it is just a tidal force. And these objects are closely approaching the surface of the Earth. And just like the moon causes tides, these objects are going to cause tidal forces. What does a tidal force mean? It's a differential gravitational force that's much stronger below the object on the surface of the Earth than everywhere else. So, of course, as the object approaches the Earth, it's pulling on the matter. So it lifts it up. It does the same thing. That's why we get these tidal events associated with hurricanes and ocean recession events, because it's actually a wave. It creates a tidal bulge and a hollow.
Well, I think we can all agree that there are a lot of Earth changes taking place. And I always kind of like to wrap things up on a positive note. You know, we so much on this.
Don't let me speak then.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we'll start wrapping it up here, because I think that this is a lot of heavy stuff for a lot of people to absorb. And I always like to leave people at least with something that is, you know, it can't be all doom and gloom. We have life, and we have to enjoy life. We have to enjoy the moments together with loved ones, with families, and being aware, but at the same time, it is life. You know,
exactly.
Death is coming for all of us. That's the one thing that every human has in common. But what we can do, even in the midst of all this upheaval, is to remember that we're all human beings. We can show love, compassion for our fellow man. And within that, that's the fabric that begins to, I think, hold people together, even in the midst of upheaval.
Get out there. And, the best advice I can give to everyone is, get out there, live your life, do the things that you always wanted to do if you're able to do them. live your life. I mean, the minute you're born is the minute that you start dying. It's kind of like the slow death. So,
I always say that it's just the initiation process.
Exactly. So, folks, there's nothing that we can do about what is happening. I mean, we are living in some very unusual times. It's in one weird sense, it's kind of an exciting time to see these things happening, because some generations, they never saw any of these things happening. We are definitely
going to fall in love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fall in love again, Yeah. Hug that woman, that man that's next to you.
Yeah, spend all that money in the bank.
Hey, listen, spend it while you can.
Yeah.
Jeff P., I want to thank you, my friend. You have brought some food for thought. I'd love to follow up with you on that theory. I think that you're really onto something. And
I got some pretty good stuff about scalar energy as well.
Well, I'd love to have you back on. I've left your link, folks. Check him out. Mr. Scott Zione, thank you again. You're always, you bring a lot of information and a lot of food for thought. There's no doubt about it. Folks, left his link as well. Make sure you subscribe. And of course, hi, Claudia. Everyone knows our in-house resident Doctor of Physics, Dr. Albers, and she has her channel as well. I'll put the link on there, and we do our show Monday night.
Yeah, we do.
Last week, I have to tell you, Claudia, was I got a lot of emails that people really enjoyed the classroom science aspect of it. So
good.
We're getting real enthusiastic.
I really enjoyed it as well.
It was far out.
About some very interesting, things that to me are very interesting, because it's what I've been thinking about for some months.
Well, when the professor is speaking, it's best that she is interested. It makes the rest of us have fun.
Yes,
folks. Thank you again. Well, Jeff, thank you, sir. It's an honor to be around such brilliant minds. Thank you all. I hope you come back on. Folks, make sure you support these people. They're, listen, it's keeping you informed. So, folks, thank you again. We will see you real soon. I'll see you on Monday night, Claudia.
Yeah.
Jeff P., thank you. Would you like to say something to the audience, Jeff? Because my audience has never met you before. So talk to you. Let them know a little bit. They now see it. Say something.
I'm the one that kind of brought the light, the knowledge of the sun simulator and the discoverer of the lens array, which I first thought were planets a couple of years back. And it seems to be proven out that this lens is quite an elaborate system that we have. So I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years now. And just thank you so much for all the love and support. I think for me, I think my main focus is just Planet X, and in my discovery of that and searching for it, I stumbled upon other things like the artificial light sources and holograms and all that fun stuff. So seeing through all that junk. But
I'll say this for the group, folks. This is a seasoned group here, because I'll tell you what, we've had our backs stabbed more times, and it's, I mean,
can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can, Jeff.
Did you hear me before? Because I'm hearing people say they can't hear me.
Now we can. We can hear you really good.
Oh, I guess my mic got unplugged. I'm sorry. Anyways, I just want to say thank you so much for all that. Did you catch the part about the lens array?
Yes, we did. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, all right, folks. Have a
Thanks
great weekend.
For showing up.
And we've had a full house in here. At one time, we were hitting almost 500 on this. So we were hitting all cylinders, folks. Thank you for such an exciting almost 2 hours of time travel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely always a pleasure. And Wayne, keep paying very close attention to that compass. Definitely throughout the entire winter time. And you have a snowblower?
Pardon?
Do you have a snowblower?
Oh yeah.
You may want to get yourself one of those little bobcats.
I got one that can move a lot of snow. We're ready. I love it.
That's good. That's good. Jeff P., you take care. Thanks for reaching out to us, Dr. Albers, and everybody on Wayne's channel. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, folks. Bless
All right,
you
guys,
all.
take care.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Claudia. Thank you, Jeff. Bye-bye.
All right.